From Algo, everybody. So I am live. If you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. I had to go live a couple minutes earlier than the schedule, so I'm sorry about that if you get the notification. I know I was originally going to go live in about 5 more minutes, but I have some stuff I have to take care of here soon. So I didn't finish charting this out yet. Today's a really slow day in the market. We're looking at the 2000 tick ES chart. And so there's just not very many trades, unfortunately, and that's just the way it is. Sometimes you couldn't really trade early because there was a huge news event, and so you had to wait until after that settled down a little bit, and I think it happened right around here, this big candle. So after that, you could start looking at trades. The first trade that came up was right here, and I marked it green. It's arguable because it does come off of this trend line that we had, and it definitely confirms it there. So it's an arguable one. Like this one, you could maybe argue is a blue arrow trade. The reason I marked it green, though, is that, and it is 2 legs back, so it's kind of like a larger second entry here. But the reason I didn't love it is just because there's sort of a down channel that was kind of forming here, and this thing could easily break down a bit. We had a big gap below us. I just thought it was a little sketchy. This big trend channel didn't seem super reliable to me. It looked like a 2-legged move had already happened. So there's a few reasons to be worried about it, and you could see that even if you did enter this trade, you would have had some heat. It came almost all the way back, but that's why we put our stop losses where we do. Then comes up, and you don't really get anything here. There's technically a second entry short here, but I don't think you want to take that. It's just, I don't like the way it's set up. There's an overshoot, breaks up, and then there's just no setups here. All the setups are just not great. Like there's a failure here, but it's not really where you're looking for a failure. There's some other stuff. Like there's a lot of spots where the signal bar just wasn't very great. So you kind of just have to be patient today. Eventually up here, you could see this as a second entry from this low if you wanted to count it like that. The problem is it's not really that much of a new low. It's kind of like a double bottom. It's like a hidden second entry short here, but it's like a failed breakout. So again, it's not perfect, not a great setup overall. Short-term trend line, if you drew that, but this is a close outside and 2 legs to a new high and then a reversal bar. So there's reasons to like this. But it's, again, a lower high would have been better. You just don't get a good setup. There's a failure here, but it's on the wrong side of the EMA, and it's just not a good signal bar, so no good lower high. And then eventually we bounce here. I didn't look at any of this yet, so let's see. I mean, you could argue that there's kind of a triple test on this bar. So, I mean, you could argue for this one, but again, it's probably just a green. It looks like a range here. So you could argue for the triple test. I'll mark it. But I didn't take any trades today. I just saw that this was the kind of day where there wasn't a lot of setups. So I actually didn't take any trades, and I ended my day like right around in here. And I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to call it a day. It's a Friday. I don't want to take a trade on a day where the market is moving like this and there's not a lot of opportunities. And you can even see here, there's a second entry short, but there's no signal bar because this is the signal bar. And this is an inside bar, so you can't take that. Triple test here, but no signal bar again. So it's just one of those days. It's just not giving you setups. There is a failed second entry long here, but you're not looking for a failure right there. You're at the lows of the range. You are bouncing here now. Are you getting a close outside? I don't know. I mean, kind of a close outside and a new low, but not really, because this is all red bars. So most likely this is just a slightly wider channel like this. This looks like it could close back inside and give us a new low on this channel, but again, that's pretty bearish. I wouldn't be looking for a long there unless you get a really good higher low type of setup to stay inside this range. And that's just the kind of day it is. Slow day. Patience is a virtue on a day like today. And you pretty much just want to avoid taking bad setups. And I was telling people in my community, which by the way, if anybody wants to check out the community, just go to the first link in the description and you'll see it there for free. And you'll also see the free price action courses and everything teaching all these strategies. Basically, I was telling the community, guys, today's the kind of day where you're going to probably have some frustrating moments. Like you're going to be sitting here frustrated that you've been watching the chart. There's just no setups, or they're really close to being a setup, but they're not really perfect. They're green arrow trades. They're not red or blue arrow, like solid longs and shorts. And so you can get frustrated on a day like today and then force a bad trade. So you're better off just not taking one if that's how you're feeling. If you're really frustrated, you're probably not going to have a good trading day. And so you're better off just staying out. That's how I assessed my situation. I was like, you know what? I'm getting frustrated. I've been sitting here waiting. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to not trade today. I'm just not going to take a trade. So I watched the market, and I think that's the smart decision. And it is the smart decision because you can see the only trade setups that came were green arrow setups. So I would have been taking a trade that's somewhat risky, not a sure thing, and that's just how that goes. And even here, like this could turn into a failed breakout, probably going to be a bullish bar. If it breaks back in, it's another green arrow trade. There's not a higher low yet. Now we'll see. It could form one. You know, this could turn into a bullish trade. So basically, we'll get ready to market. We'll just wait. But we'll just put an arrow out here just in case this ends up going. And basically what this is trying to form is just another failed breakout. But it's just a failed breakout. And again, we don't know for sure how this is going to go. And that's a pretty huge bar for a day like today. I mean, you need this thing to probably travel up a bit. How big of a bar is that? 26 ticks. I mean, see, like it's just, again, it works, you know, and that is a pretty decent one. It's a failed break lower, so it's a failed breakout. But again, you saw like it's not, there's no like nice higher low confirmation or anything. So you just, if you take this, you're just taking it for that. And I mean, you could argue if you drew this like this, you have a close outside and it is 2 legs to a new low. You could make that argument, even if you draw it right here like that or something, you could still argue close outside, new low, and then this makes the lower low, and then it engulfs this bar. But you can't take the engulfing bar trade there. You might still get a higher low, but now it's moved pretty far, and it's a little bit sketchy, in my opinion. So, and there, look, equal low there. It's like, just one of those days, you know, you're not really getting the best setups. So you just kind of have to roll with that. You know, it's still decent. Like if you took that trade, it's probably going to work. But again, it's not a sure thing, in my opinion. You're picking the low on this move, and it broke lower than this low back here. So it's just not ideal. I don't really think, even if you draw across here, is it off of anything? I guess technically, if you draw this here, it's kind of like a bounce off that level, but that's just a double bottom. There's nothing really to that, you know, right around that area. There's no triple test there. So, so yeah, hopefully everybody had a good day. I'm going to keep it short today. I'm not going to keep going because that's really all I wanted to cover. So I hope everybody had a really solid trading week. It's been an awesome week for me. I had a really great week. Just some good trades. You know, there's been some nice ones this week. The volatility's not been out of control. You can see we're at a 3.65. Oh, you can't see it on yours, but we're at pretty low volatility on the 21 ATR. So that's been pretty cool to see. And we're back to kind of normal now. Like you can take trades where you're getting these bars. I actually was laughing yesterday because I took a long on a second entry, and the bar was only 11 ticks, and I was laughing at myself. I think I might have mentioned this on the call. Like my stop loss, like when I entered the trade, was like all the way down here, and I was like, oh sweet, and I was able to move it up, and I was like, I haven't been able to move my stop loss that tight in a while. So that was a cool thing. I really liked that, and I'm glad that we're kind of getting back to normal, because when it's really high volatility, it just kind of, it's not my favorite. I like some volatility, but when it gets like how it was, when we were getting those days with like 12, 21 period ATR where the bars were like, we were getting like 70 tick bars, like that's just not awesome. I mean, you have to change your sizing, you have to change your targets. It's just not my favorite. So I'm glad we're back to normal. Even though this was a slower day, this was a really awesome week. So I appreciate everybody. I'm going to stop there. Hope you all have an awesome weekend. I'll be back on Monday, and I will talk to you soon.